start streaming. I'm gonna go over to our YouTube page and see it's gonna pick up. Right. Okay. Looks like it is. Okay. Hold on. All right. Let me start a different stream over here. All right. So I'm going back and forth between this and YouTube right now. Dang, computer screen act right. Work on workspace, your own relaxing space.
I tell you, I'm trying to make it so. I'm trying to make it so. I'm trying to make it so.
Wait a minute. Now hold up. Now just tell your husband, look, Chris is around the corner, babe. Look, I need a desk, I need a comfortable chair. Shoot, you need
Girl,
one that's gonna massage and everything.
Something. Help a chick out.
All right. So we online. That's good. We online. I'm trying to get to okay, what I'm doing now is I'm about to put the stream on the magazine site.
Okay.
To make sure that it comes up. So I'm waiting for YouTube. I hate technology. I'm like, when I'm doing something, you want to run slow. But I've been watching Netflix all day. Ain't had no problem. But now I'm trying to do this. I mean, it just.
So as soon as I need to do something.
Right. It's going to act up.
You trying to trip.
This don't make no sense. Hopefully nobody. Well, if anybody get on YouTube, they'll be able to see us. But I'm trying to get to the magazine. Come on, YouTube. Y'all know y'all acting up right now. Oh, sweet baby Jesus.
See.
I mean, you got to call on them. Ain't nobody else you can call on in time of trouble like this.
Right.
Okay. All right. Let me just go to. Okay. Maybe I was doing too much. Okay.
Right.
All right. Okay. All right. Let me just go to. Okay. Maybe I was doing. All right. I put the YouTube part on pause, so it won't be an echo. All right. Okay. All right. So I'm on the website now. Okay. All right. So live. Okay. Oh, I'm about to say, what the hell, Sage? Okay. Don't laugh at me.
Not that girl, look. I understand.
Oh Lord, I'm trying to delete because I did a tester video. Come on, you know what? Why y'all got to make it so difficult for me? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Cool. This is so cool. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I just updated it on the website, and I'm gonna see if it plays. Like I'm gonna go into another tab to see if it plays. Let me unmute the live. Well, no, that I'll have to unmute it. I could just see it. I just need to know that it's working.
Right.
Right. That's all I need to know. Is it working, Jesus? Ah, it's working. Okay. Let me. Okay, I'm gonna just unmute it real quick. Real quick. Cool. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I just updated it on the website, and I'm gonna see if it plays. Like I'm gonna go into another tab. All right. To see if I'm on the website, and I'm gonna see. Okay, that's good right there. That's good. If it plays. Like I'm gonna to see if I'm on the website, and I'm gonna see. All right, let me mute that part. Okay. Awesome. All right, let me mute that part. Okay. All right, so it plays. That's good. Awesome. All right. Okay, I did it. We did it.
You did.
Okay, I just wanted to test and see if it works, and it does. So then I can reach back out to you to actually officially come on, because I still wanted to do the live streaming interview, like the after from when I first did your interview, and it's another lady that I have to do from that series as well too. But it's like I said, it's my first time testing out in like the interview mode. So yay!
Right. You did it, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Now, so quick question. So, what is the book about? Like, what you writing about?
Well, this book has actually kind of been brewing on my mind for like the past year and a half. So, I get from the people who know me and other English classes I've taken. They ask, they always ask you the trifecta of questions. How long have you been writing? When did you start writing? And what's your process?
Okay.
So I had really been thinking, I'm like, I really think that I'm going to go ahead and kind of, write the testimony of me getting back to writing. So,
wow.
So, and the Lord really had put it on my heart for me to really begin to push the vision for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of like sat down, free wrote, didn't really like it. And then when I was working nights at a hospital, I you do anything to stay awake. Right. So I started to just kind of flow with it. No matter how short or long the chapter, I just wanted to get it out. And as I began to really delve back in these memories, I saw that, I told my husband this, I said, as children, we know what we're good at.
Yeah.
Kids have that innate ability to say, look, I'm really good at math. I'm really good at science. I'm really good at coloring. And you know that.
Right.
And I don't know what it is about life that makes you doubt what you're good at.
Mm-hmm.
And you begin to move from that, but nothing feeds your soul like that particular thing.
Right.
So as I began to go through it, I came up with, because you follow me on social media. So sometimes I come up with like my good girlfriend calls them genisms, like little just random things that I say, random words I make up. And one was #WriteLife, like the things that writers go through. Like, I don't have any pens and I need to get this off my head. #WriteLife. My PC is dead, but I can't get this. I'm rolling around ideas. #WriteLife. Let me see the history in your dictionary app, because I'm freaky when it comes to text. #WriteLife. Just dumb stuff. And as I began to really delve into it, as the story began to shape, I'm like, I'm going to call it WriteLife and make it a memoir. So this is the actual draft, because this is part of my process. I don't like editing. I don't like electronic editing. I like to have it in front of me so I can actually deconstruct. So I can actually deconstruct it and reconstruct it and then put it back into e-form. So I actually had a friend of mine read it, and she's like, "Jen, this is so good." Da, da, da. And I was like, wow. I'm like, thanks, love. So I had a friend of mine, Marissa Southards, who is actually doing the Awakenings Project. So she's kind of like a co-collab for stuff that I need to do. And she actually shot the cover for me.
Oh, really?
So the sepia colored, the sepia picture you see on my Facebook wall and my professional page, she actually shot that photo.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that photo, because the vision I had was me sitting on a porch. And that picture is actually my grandmother's house.
Mm.
In St. Louis. You actually Google the address, 4221 Prairie Avenue, 63107. That's her house.
Wow.
And she's been gone as of this week, last week, she's been gone 4 years.
Aww.
So as a quick segue before I talk about, but I can't even talk about the book, but I'll talk about our house. So her house is where because there were more books than televisions.
Oh,
and I had
wow.
I had the aunts that, read the Harlequin novels when they were like the red paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had those aunts there was always reading. There was always speech. There was always people talking. Her house was this hive of activity. And it was at her house where I really began to, pick up accents and dialects and things like that. And there was something anchoring about her being there. And I have a dear cousin of mine, his name is Jason. He lives outside of Boston, who's an artist. He actually like an actual cartoonist. That's what he does. He teaches art. He is an artist. And we were 9 years apart. So when I was like 6, he was like 15.
Wow.
So he would let me, and I didn't find out how valuable this was until I got older. He would let me be in his space while he drew.
Oh, wow.
And it was the coolest thing ever that he would have like these like thick sketchbooks and these black pencils and this like big electronic pencil sharpener. He would just like, sharpen his pencil, if it wasn't sharp enough, it was a whole process, but he let me sit there and watch him draw.
Wow.
And again,
awesome.
At her house, right at her house. And, and I had the aunts that if you didn't know a word, they make you go look them up.
Yes. Oh my God.
Go look it up. Right. Auntie Lynn, what this mean? Go look it up.
Right. Oh, guys, I hate that.
Go look it up. And, right. It did. And then my grandma had these encyclopedias that the kids, anybody under 10 couldn't touch, but I would sneak and get one anyway. And her house was this place where it was okay that I didn't fit in at school.
Okay, that's good.
It was this place that I could actually embrace books. That I could then, because my grandmother, as I found out later, had like a 9th grade education. All she wanted to do was be a nurse. And picking up accents from her, because even though she was from Mississippi, when I told my husband is, when I'm really tired, you can hear the drawl. When I'm actually thinking about it, you don't hear it.
Right.
But when you can actually hear it, like the words slow, they lean, and it was her house that I learned to embrace who I was, and she was a steady presence.
Wow.
One of my favorite memories was actually being in her basement, just like drawing and just writing and just being in that space. So for her to be gone when all this stuff is happening is really low key devastating, because when anything good would happen, I like, Nana, this look now, I wrote a book. Look, I wrote a book. And and now she's not here.
Right.
But yet and still that place was instrumental in me beginning to appreciate words and reading and books and art. So I can't tell that story. I can't tell the story without actually going into the significance of the cover photo.
Right.
So Marissa, and we literally did it in like 10 minutes, because now her house is abandoned.
Aww.
Like they kicked in the door, like glass was all over the front. So I did it. The front cover of the book is like me with bare feet, because there was like glass everywhere, but I did it for art.
Oh,
so
wow.
I sat there. She took the picture, and then the back cover is just like the empty porch.
Oh, wow.
So I can kick ideas to Marissa like that. She's like, "Oh yeah, dude, that'd be good." I thought it'd be better in black and white. She goes, "No, that's too stark. We can do sepia."
Mm.
So we did that. So Write Life details how I really started writing, how I really began to embrace it, how I left it, and how I fought to get back to it.
Wow.
And I did the book in quick 15 chapters. So it's like one chapter may be like, but it would take the span of like 2 or 3 years and so many pages and all this. And and I actually didn't think about this until I started writing the book. Most people who I talked to about, writing and whatnot, I mentioned Miss Constance Kelly. Miss Constance Kelly was my 3rd grade teacher. One of the chapters of the book is called literally The Power of Third Grade. Thank you, Miss Constance Kelly.
Wow.
I actually wrote, I had always like written things like little stories and whatever else, but to jump back right quick, my mother had like the weekly reader thing, and she would always have books shipped to our house. There were always more books than TVs. So I don't know what people do with all these TVs. Like, why is anybody like my Kindle right now? I just shop for books, bro. I promise.
Oh, wow.
I'm trying to get into Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay. That's my reading right now. And The Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes.
Oh, snap.
Right. So I love me some Shonda.
Yes, honey.
And yes, she is Mother Rhimes is everything. But
you're not going to
she is
Mother Rhimes.
Mother Rhimes is everything.
I mean, she's an excellent writer, and the team of people that she works with that help write the shows are excellent too.
Ma'am.
Oh my gosh.
Could you imagine?
Oh my gosh.
I looked at Scandal one day and said, God, if you can do it for Shonda Rhimes, if you can do it for Shonda Rhimes, surely you can do it. He said, ask if you can do it for Shonda.
Right. I mean, that's true. That's true.
If you can do it for Shonda, why not? Why not,
right.
Jen?
Nothing is impossible. Absolutely nothing.
And I won't give away all the book, but the thing is, I actually wrote it in three parts. But I actually started writing, The Power of Third Grade. I had to remember something my mother told me when we were little. My grandmother and my mother would tell us, don't write in books. Books are precious, but kids are, you get your pencil and and whatever. And my mother told me, if you want to draw in a book, make your own.
No, my God.
So I'm like 4 or 5. My mother said, if you want to draw in a book, make your own. You don't draw in books.
Wow.
So I looked and I was like, now most kids would be like, oh, she mean me. I'm like, oh, I can make a book. So I would make. So the first book I remember making my mother, because my mother's a nurse. So she, I don't even know how I even came up with this, but I wrote this book about blood donation.
What?
Like I was like 6 or 7. So I wrote this book about blood donation. Like I like crayons, white paper, folded in half, creased it, staple. Wrote because I knew a book needed a spine.
Wow.
I knew the cover had a name on it. So I would like wrote my little story and and gave it to my mother. And she looked at me and she was like, and I think then she realized like this is what she's supposed to do.
Right.
And The Power of Third Grade. Thank you, Miss Constance Kelly. I'm gonna just read you an excerpt of it. Because I'm like, as I was reading this, I'm like, this is gonna edify so many people, Lord. I'm like, I don't know if I can do it. But the quote I use, because for every chapter I use a quote from a Black female writer. For the third chapter, I said I used one by Zora Neale Hurston. Magic is older than writing, so no one knows how it got started.
Wow.
I don't know if I can do it. The excerpt of it is, when my husband printed it, it printed funny, but we bless God for free printing because I said, on this particular day, I remember it was before Christmas of 1989. My little brother wasn't even a year old yet, and I was settling into being a big sister. I remember my work was done. This is in class, and I had a tiny desk by the window, and there was a boy that sat in front of me. And those rows set up and organized as if we were all ears of corn. I took out a piece of notebook paper, drew in the margins as I was known to do. Then I looked out of the window. I remember it was overcast, and I wrote a story. I don't even know if you would call it a story now, but it was definitely about the rain. I gave it to Miss Kelly, just slipped it on her desk. I don't remember asking her to read it. I went back to my desk with no problem. She didn't say anything and didn't bring any attention to it. I remember it was in the beginning of the week, and by that Friday, she had given it back to me. She told me something that I still get chills over. You're good at this. You should keep writing.
Wow.
You should keep writing. This phrase still has the same power it did almost 30 years later. I remember looking at this paper with my doodles and born handwriting and played it over in my head. What she said. The thing is, she was a new teacher, and by the beginning of my 4th grade year, she was no longer teaching at Lowell Elementary. And to this publishing, I have not seen or heard from her again. However, that phrase, those words changed me. I knew they had changed me. I knew they changed me. I was good at something, and it was beyond what I was affirmed by my family. This was the beginning. This was beyond the beginning of beyond being a good daughter or a good big sister, a good niece or grandchild. This was something I was good at. It was something I was good at that a teacher had seen and told me in earnest. I cannot tell you what that meant. So, and then I normally tell people like, it was Miss Kelly who recognized that. But as I began to, write this up from an autobiographical standpoint, I had to remember the next teacher I had, who was Miss Annie Green. Miss Annie Green was a black lady. Miss Kelly was white. Miss Green was so mean. She was so mean. Oh my gosh, she was so mean. We thought she was so mean. Bruh. She was a teacher that when you saw her lean out of the room, Miss Green in the hall, shut up. Shut up. She gonna tell so and so on her, shut up. You don't get us in trouble, shut up. She was that teacher. And we had her. Girl. So and she told the best story. She was the only teacher in elementary school that I had who had been that candid with us. She told us how she was a teenage mom. that her husband like beat her up and she left. And I mean, we're like 9, man. I'm absorbing all of this, but she was the kind of teacher that when you left her classroom, you knew that you were important. Mm-hmm. You knew that you were intelligent, and you were equipped to deal with whatever life was going to throw at you. Mm. She was that teacher. And when she found out I could write.
Oh snap.
When she found out, I remember she had given me this blue and white book and wrote in it. I can't remember what she wrote in it. But what she gave to me, I cry thinking about it. What she gave to me as a 9-year-old little black girl, was she gave me the respect of my own thoughts. This is what I wrote in the back of that 4th chapter. One of the best things I remember about Miss Green's class was a spring writing contest that was the school-wide spring writing contest in 4th grade. This is my favorite elementary school memory. I remember during the awards day in May of 1991, I put my fist up when they called my name, saying I had won 2nd place. The story I wrote was about a magic carpet. I knew then this feeling, this writing was the thing I was good at and wanted to keep doing. Miss Green gave me a journal near the end of the school year. It was this small journal with blue writing on it. It was like beige and white. I think it had a bird on it or a boat. Mm. She told me telling one that she had given it to me. She wrote a small dedication in it, encouraging me to keep going. Mm. I don't know or remember where that journal is, but what she gave me, the invaluable thing Miss Green gave me, she gave me affirmation. She gave me confidence to dream, teach, and become. And giving me this journal in giving me this journal, no matter what the world outside has said to me or would say, Miss Annie Green gave me the right to keep going. She gave me a baton in this relay started by my own mother. I could cry thinking about it. Look at the Lord. Wow. And told me to keep going before the world could ever come and snatch it from me. For that, I love and respect her. Some people chase highs. I was chasing words. Her room, that space in her class gave me the footing to keep going. I was determined I would. I looked at while I was on an overnight shift, and I remember tearing up because I hadn't thought about that, because it's easy to go back to third grade. This is the story. Miss Kelly said this, but I hadn't thought about what Miss Green had done to me in almost 20 years.
Wow.
She found out that I could write, and she's like, here, start writing your. I remember. Thank you, Lord. She said, start writing your stories down.
Right.
Start writing them down. I don't know where Miss Green is, but she had been teaching like 20 some odd years when we came along. And that was in the early 90s. So she's good and retired now.
Mm-hmm.
But that affirmation was life-changing. And then again, as I wrote, because I knew once I had to confront why I left writing alone, it was going to be hard to say, okay, you were good at this.
Right.
And you left it. And then you left it, but this is why you left it. But then again, Nikki Giovanni says that, when people ask, how do you know you're a writer? Nikki Giovanni is petty. So she said, you're a writer when you can't stop writing.
Wow. That's true.
And I'm like, she said, you're always writing something. And I'm like, you know what? Miss Giovanni. But wow. Yeah, the Lord had put this on my heart to write and encourage. Because I think a lot of times, especially if you're Black and female and do this type of art, it can be extremely lonely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we always think of the Toni Morrisons and the Maya Angelos and the Octavia Butlers and the Nikki Giovannis, but we forget that not to discount their work at all, but there still needs to be some kind of edification that look, we ain't always had this together.
Right. True.
Toni Morrison said the reason why she wrote The Bluest Eye was that she wanted to read it, and she for real she said also that she was in publishing when she actually started working on The Bluest Eye.
Mm-hmm.
Maya Angelou actually her the documentary Still Maya Angelou I Rise is actually on Netflix. When I tell you, Mother Maya, girl, she got my life together. You hear me? She snatched my edges from the beyond. You hear me? I'm like, okay, Jesus. Like, how you gonna let Mother Maya snatch my edges from the beyond? I don't appreciate it. How you gonna let her get me together like this here?
I agree, because what we have to realize is that, Maya Angelou came at the time that she was supposed to come. And so God is, raising up writers, of this generation, so that the people behind us, I don't know if we're going to be on Netflix or not, but somebody's going to read our work, or if we get a documentary, they're going to, watch our documentary. So we have to make sure that we're doing our part in the time that God has ordained for us. That way we're impacting the generations the same way that we look at Maya Angelou, we look at Toni Morrison, and Nikki Giovanni, all those writers that came before us, Langston Hughes. Like, we have to do our part. So we can't just admire them to the point where it's just admiration, but it should be a spark. It should be a fuel for us to, do what we need to do to continue that legacy, because their legacy has impacted us, and because of that, it gives us that fire, that motivation to create our own legacy and to continue theirs as well too at the same time.
I say, how she gonna snatch my edges
from the grave?
Like, how you gonna do that? Like, how you gonna snatch my edges from beyond, mama? How you gonna do this to me?
Gosh, when I watched the documentary, for me, I just started how it was so powerful that she just didn't use her writing, just for herself, but she used it to impact change, to impact culture, politics, I mean, so much.
And what her grandmother said, what her grandmother said, she said, mama don't care what these folks say. You gonna go all over the world.
Yes!
When I tell you, I shouted in my spirit. I say, how she gonna gather me? How she gonna gather me? How she gonna gather me like this? How she gonna gather me, Jesus?
Oh man, I'm trying to tell you.
Girl, I sat there, I threw my phone, I went in my room and prayed. Yes, I did. I'm like, God. I said, for real, I'm like tears rolling down my face. I wrote it in my devotional journal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, Lord, I have tried to become a nurse. I've done all I can with that. Clearly, that's not where you want me to go.
Right.
I give this talent to you for you to go ahead and do what you need to do with it. Because clearly, I'm like, I know what you told me. I know what you told me concerning these words and the people who I understand that. But you're going to just help me step into that.
Right. Absolutely.
And I told my mom in the Lord, I'm like, Mom, I said, I don't take it lightly. I'm like, God has told me these things. I said, I'm like, if I can master the humility right now, if I can master the humility to indeed feel the burden of that, and that keep me in check. If I can master that and realize that it's not just me being able to write.
Right.
In order to do that, not everybody can write and be a voice at the same time. Maya was both.
Yeah.
Now when Toni is, and take nothing away from her.
Right.
Toni's power is definitely written.
Right.
When I hear her speak, I don't feel that same resignation that I did her when Maya spoke.
Right.
When Maya came here, my best friend and her sister, we all went to the 2 Hill because I'm like, you bitches you gonna come with me? Shit, the tickets are $10. I mean, because that was like 2 years before she passed.
Wow. Oh,
so we sat there and we sitting there absorbing. She talking and it was so powerful.
Wow.
And look, and the thing is, God, you wonderful. I mean, I literally, when from the time I left and when she died, I hollered in my kitchen.
Wow. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I'm like, wait a minute. Like, no. I remember washing dishes and just hollering, no.
Right.
Like, because I'm like, my grandmother had passed and then Maya had passed right after.
Oh man.
So I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I'm like, in watching the documentary, in hearing her life and hearing her words and hearing how she indeed too saw this as a craft.
Yes.
It resonated with me on a basal level.
Right.
As far as, that point every writer gets to, like, oh, I just can't do this. This is hard. I don't know. Nobody gonna read it. That crippling self-doubt that if you lean into, it'll shut you up.
Right.
But God knew what he was doing, giving me the mama that I had, because even in the madness I was going through, because my husband asked me, are you going to put people's first and last names in there? Yep.
Yeah.
I sure am. Because if you wanted better, you should have acted better.
Right.
I mean,
it's your story. It's your story.
I mean, it's my I mean, it's not like I have better things to lie about.
Right.
But the thing is, she would ask me from time to time, especially from time to time, so start when I was about maybe 15. She said, are you still writing?
Wow.
Every song, are you still writing? Are you still writing? I mean, she was still, even now she throws those things like, are you still writing? Are you still writing? I mean, so God knew he was doing, giving me the mother that he did, because because parents know exactly what you're good at and don't understand why you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
But in so doing, when because I won't give away all the book, but I see now it's a couple people I'm gonna have to slide y'all a code or something. Be like, Jen, you know you can give me you gonna need me to you can slide me one for like 15% off still. You can slide me one. You can slide me one.
Oh my gosh, that is
You can
too
slide
funny.
me one. You can slide me. Okay. Oh, we gonna keep playing crazy, Sequoia. I know you're gonna be one like sis. Now you know.
No, I support you. I buy my friend's book. I mean, as an author, I believe in supporting other authors. So I never, if somebody's led to, give a discount or something, but I never ask for something because I genuinely want to support whoever it is. And I know that feeling of having somebody support you and, value what you've done because people don't realize it takes a lot of work to write any piece of material, to be honest,
Right.
but to put a book together and you're throwing your heart, your tears, your whole life, really, especially with you writing, the type of book that you're writing, your whole life experience. So it has a whole lot more value than even the the number that you put on it, the monetary number. It's like it's worth even more than that. But yeah, I would never undercut anybody. It's like, okay, if you decide to, okay. If not, what's the price of the book? Like, that's me.
Say when you get through, I just need to know, will it be on Amazon and Kindle?
Right. That's all I need to know. Amazon and Kindle, because I just supported a friend and I do paperback and I do Kindle. I just did a Kindle book. Just last week I did a book from Kindle. So yeah. I'm not like that at all, but I'm just really excited about what God is doing, and just to see so many people who are operating in their gifts, especially for me, like connected with other kingdom people such as yourself and a few other people who are just using their gifts for the kingdom. And it's amazing to see how we come back to what we always knew we were supposed to doing, outside of what other people think we should be doing, outside of what society tells us we should be doing, outside of, any, other influences, that we come back to, our first love after Jesus. So it's just amazing to see that and to know that it's going to encourage, so many people, and so many people are going to be impacted, and then it's going to ignite, other people who have these same dreams and desires, and they're like, well, I don't see anybody doing it, or I don't know if I can do it, but seeing you as their role model, as their example, whether you know that you are or not, but just seeing you accomplish that will give them that encouragement to say, hey, you know what? I can write this book too. I've had it on my heart for thousands of years, but if my sister Jennifer can do it, then so can I. And what blessed me the most is what you shared thus far is the fact that people in our lives, like for me, my teachers were very critical and me, doing things and learning more about myself, my gifts and my talents. And it's good that you have people like in your family and stuff that will encourage you, because not everybody has that. And so
Right.
people have to know that even if you didn't have that encouragement growing up, even if you don't have it now, still go after what it is that's in your heart that you desire, because God placed it there. That's the biggest thing that we have to realize, is that we don't just desire to do something just to desire it. It's like God planted things on the inside of us, these desires, to accomplish his will on the earth. Whether we recognize it, whether everybody believe in God or not, that's beside the point. But the truth of the matter is, we all have something special to, contribute, in this world. And if we don't contribute, then the world is missing something. We're not fulfilled. Our lives are, incomplete. And it's almost like we've taken up space on earth, but we never deposited what we were supposed to deposit in the earth. So there's a deficit in the earth. So we have to realize that we are carriers, of, God's anointing. We are carriers of his dreams, because our dreams are really not our dreams. I just say it's on loaner, it's on retainer. So, God is entrusting us to do, what he has called us to do. And I love the fact that I want to say, I can't remember if you said it was Toni Morrison or not, but when you said, it wasn't Toni Morrison. I'm trying to think of the author name. The Bluest Eyes. That she wrote the book for herself because she wanted to read it. And sometimes,
Toni.
Okay, I couldn't remember. I'm like, wait a minute, hold up now. So yeah, sometimes even without writing, sometimes when you said that, sometimes we're looking for things out there, and it's like, I wish so and so would write this, or I wish so and so would create it, and it's like, well, why don't you create it? It's like, if you have that idea, if you have those thoughts, then why not you be the person that created? And then another thing that I thought about is that sometimes, with the success of like our books and stuff like that, people think that, oh my gosh, I want my books to go all around the world. And not to say that it can't, but maybe your book can touch, one person's life. And first of all, I believe it has to touch your own life before it ministers to anybody else. But even if your book doesn't travel to China, through mail or whatever like that, still write the book, because whoever gets it, whether it's the person in your household or the person down the street, the point is that it's touching somebody's life. So I think sometimes people are like taken back because they look at somebody else's success journey and think, oh, well, that's not happening for me. But I realize that every person that has my book, for me, it's like that. For me, that's a success. I don't care if my book is not, in another country right now. It could be. I don't know. It could be. But for me, it's like, okay, it blessed somebody. I didn't even sell with my books. Some books I sold, some books I didn't sell. I just gave away as God led me to. It's like, look, give this book to such and such. Because for me, I realized, and even with our gifts as a whole, it's not always, about money, but when you realize that your book is a seed and you're sowing into somebody else's life, oh my gosh. Because just like with your teacher, her giving you that journal, like, really, that's something you remember. You may not remember the exact words, but it sowed a seed in you that is now bringing forth fruit. I know it's not just now, but yeah. So that's just how powerful our work is. Like when we do what we're supposed to do.
Right. I mean, which again, as I was going through and remembering these things, and my own, childishness about it, but there was something that Miss Green saw in me,
right,
that that she wanted to speak to,
right,
and she was a woman of faith, so she and in doing that was just everything. It was just everything, right. And like I said, I had been remiss not to remember that.
Right.
And it took this particular situation, because I think a lot of times teachers think they don't really do anything. But then when you have people like myself who literally sat there and absorbed like these little 5-10 minute conversations, and you do that, because she's like, don't tell nobody I gave you this, but here, start writing your stories down.
Right. Absolutely.
So in doing that, that was powerful. And as I began to, unfold this onion, as it were, and talk about, how I drifted from it. And then as I drifted from it, tried desperately to get back to it, getting back there, there was a Audre Lorde quote that said, paraphrasing, for every writer, there is a time where you don't write, which is devastating. Because writing is like breathing.
Yes.
And as I began to construct the book, I'm like, I think I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to do it like this. So that way, as people can actually see, okay, it was here. here, and then here is the ugly middle, and she doesn't
Right.
mention about the ugly middle, because there are, there are things that happen that I allowed to happen. And now, in relationships I got in, and there was another relationship that I speak about that helped to reignite that. And of course, my husband, who looked me dead in the face and said, if you can write this well, why are you going to become a nurse?
Ah! And you talk about your career. Oh. Oh,
He said,
my goodness.
He said, if you can write, he said you can, and he's an educator.
Wow.
He said, babe, you can really write. Why are you going to school to be a nurse?
My
I said, well, I'm trying to get the kids together, and I want to be out. He said, you can teach English and writing, and
right,
and they'll still eat.
Right.
It was when he said that.
Oh my goodness.
That planted the seeds for me to walk away from nursing.
Wow. For me to, so you were scared to walk away. Wow.
Because I'm like, I had clung to it for so long. I'm like, I'm gonna become a nurse, make sure the kids are all right, make sure they good, and then go back. Make sure they all right, and then go back, and then go back, and then go back, and then go back.
Wow.
And yeah, so I mean, it was yeah, I detail that whole, roller coaster experience of, because even as I look back on, I'm like, I knew this was what I was good at.
Wow.
And yet and still, this happened. Try to go back to it. Fought to go back to it. Couldn't get back to it. And then this period of time where I just couldn't tap into it at all.
Wow.
Where it was just gone. Where just no work, nothing. And that was frightening.
Yeah, I've been through that too.
That was frightening. Where I wrote a little bit, little piece, little string here and there. But as far as like tapping into it, pressing into it, and I kind of manipulating it, and bending the words as it were.
Yeah. Wow, I'm just coming out of that season, to be honest. Because for me, it was like life was just happening, and just being so overwhelmed by so much stuff. And then, with me transitioning, because I'm in a season of transition right now in my life, literally, physically and also in the spirit too. So for me, it's like, for a while I couldn't write nothing. Writing was like my least priority on my list, to be honest. And I didn't realize how much I missed it until I had the opportunity where I got into a place of stillness, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I just started writing, and I'm like, I used to say that I had a love-hate relationship with writing, because I sometimes I'll be like, yay, writing. The other times like, oh, I don't know why I feel like writing today.
I don't want to fool with these pages. I don't want to fool with these pages.
Right, because people think that writers write all day, every day. And maybe for some people that might be true. But for the most people, no.
I tell you, Butler said this quote that I thought was so funny. She said, some days that you'd rather clean a toilet than write. I said, you know what?
Yes. And that's true. And it's just, it's just that you just not. But
when it starts to feel like homework,
is
when like, oh, let me step back a minute.
Right.
Let me just recoup right quick.
Right. That's how I feel sometimes too. That I just have to step back and just be like, okay, well, you know what? It just ain't flowing today. So let me not try to force nothing. But I'm getting into the habit of trying to write something at least every day. And I feel that my flow is back. And I think the beautiful thing is that as the more you write, the more you see your growth as a writer, because there are things that I'm writing now and I'm like, wow, oh snap. I never imagined that I would be, writing like this. So yeah, it's like, wow. Oh snap. So it's just
Right.
awesome. And I have to tell your husband, look, thank you, sir. And that's a powerful thing to have a serious,
Saying,
because I'm not married yet, but that's powerful to have a spouse that will support you and not say, well, worry about, well, baby, we got to provide for a family. Don't get me wrong, that's still a top priority. Family comes first, but in the meantime, he's basically saying that I will support you, and go after what you really desire, because some people don't have that support, from their spouse. So I give so much kudos to your husband that he would challenge you in that area, because after a while, I think that's the most devastating thing that somebody can do to themselves, to pursue, career or education and something that they really not passionate about. They might like it, they might enjoy doing it, but it's not something that wakes them up every morning and just get the blood pumping like their passion does. And so so many people forfeit what they're really passionate about because they're focusing on, well, I have these responsibilities. And it's okay, if you take a job or whatever like that to support your dreams, but don't
right.
go in a whole different direction that's like, yeah, yeah,
I mean, my thing is when he told me that, I just was like, because no one had challenged me on that. I mean, as far as professionally is concerned, you get the accolades. Well, Jen, you're you're smart enough to be a nurse. Just go ahead and do it.
right.
But at the time, y'all weren't there when I'm going through my school stuff. Because when the semester's over, you pack your books up, whatever. Y'all not here when I'm crying over letters my English professors have given me.
Right.
Y'all ain't here when I'm trying to reconcile the mama and the writer.
Right. Right.
Y'all ain't here for that. Y'all are here when I'm looking over the life that I wanted.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
The passion that I wanted. Y'all see, y'all see the, getting passing grades in chemistry. Y'all see the path. Y'all see the net. Y'all see that, but y'all don't see this.
Right. Right.
So that so I mean, but in so doing, in him challenging me, I had to really examine what it is that I wanted. He said, because Philip Harris will come up with all kind of one-liners. He told me this. He said, why would you spend all this money on something you don't want to do forever?
Right. Oh my gosh, that's true.
He said, why would you spend all this money on something you don't want to do forever?
Wow.
I no answer.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Spend all this money on something that you don't want to do forever.
Wow. Oh my gosh, your husband surely is a preacher. Lord have mercy. Jesus.
He just throw him on you and mic drop.
I mean, for real. I mean, he look. He could have prepared you for. He could have said, "Look, I'm about to drop the mic on you. Catch your breath real quick." Man, but that's true. We waste time, we waste money, and then when if we continue down that path, and let's just say you became a nurse, it's like, all right, I gotta go to work today, but it's like something else is calling you, and then you get to the point where you're frustrated. You feel like, like this just isn't it.
Craziest thing, as I was Right Life Up. I'm gonna have to put that in the book as well. I stood it because I worked overnights, so it was a core group of techs, because I'm a tech, and nurses that we vibe and be stupid around 4:00 in the morning because everybody is tired. You're doing 12,
yeah.
and 12's not 8, so you like, I just want to go to bed. Why? No ice cream. I'm hungry. All this. We're just being dumb. And I remember the shift was changing. I stood in the middle of the floor. I was, waiting on a girlfriend of mine because we can walk to the clock and go home. And I'm seeing all the docs in their coats, and the nurses getting report. I looked and said, these clothes don't fit. I'm in my head, I'm like, these clothes don't fit anymore.
Wow.
I mean, this is not who I am.
Wow.
This is not it. I am not a nurse.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm like, these clothes don't fit anymore. They don't fit. I mean, it's not that I can't do the work. The work is hard. Of course, the work is hard. You're dealing with people.
Right.
But the thing that most telling was, I was most happy because we had like the ops room, which is like this 4-bedroom. You have your computer to chart and whatever. I would look forward to being in the ops room so I could write.
Wow.
Nobody would bother. For 12 hours, I would have this block time that I could do my research, I could do my email, I could work, I could do my blog posts, I could do my entire brand in the ops room.
Wow.
I finished my other novel, Ruby, in the ops room.
Wow.
On the floor. I mean, I was happier when I did that. Right. So when my husband said, why would you spend all this money to do something you don't want to do forever?
Right, that's true.
And I looked at my student loans and I'm like, yeah, because I still have to pay these loans, and I'm not a nurse.
Right, that's true. Uncle Sam will be like, look, you went to school.
Right. You went and did something, and we gave you some money. Go, we need our money back, man. We need our money back. Be like, I don't have it, sir.
Right.
Send me my forbearance form and my deferment so I can keep my tax return, sir. Send me my form. I still got time to the end of the year. I still send me my form.
Right. Just go ahead and send it. Just go ahead and send it. Oh my goodness, but that's so true.
Send it so I can keep my return. I need my. I don't need you trying to take my money. I need that little money.
Right. Even though it's really your money, but that's a whole nother conversation. But we gonna let that one slide till our next get together.
But no, I mean, so I had to really sit and meal over that. Like, okay, well, if I'm going to lean in and do this, I'm like, so I asked myself, okay, babe, and all these. And the funny thing is, as soon as I let nursing go, all these other writing opportunities came in.
Wow.
Like, Jen, can you do this? Jen, can you do this? Jen, can you do this? Jen, can you do this?
That's awesome.
A church I attended, I knew the pastor was I can say she was my first spiritual mother. She's like, oh, Jen, I need you to go ahead and get a PowerPoint together about editing. That editing PowerPoint. It's a cool, babe. She thinks you're brilliant, babe. Cool. No, she PowerPoint together for editing, and it turned into literally me teaching a creative writing course. Wow. I was in the car in tears.
Oh my gosh.
Philip asked me, he said, "Wait, babe, what's wrong?" I said, "I literally just stepped into what I'm supposed to do."
Wow.
Stepped into what I was supposed to do, and even now, like there are other things I'm getting together, like the writing workshop I'm getting together.
Yeah.
There's a group I'm involved in on Facebook called the Hustle Hive, and they have a brand and how to do e-courses and all this other kind of stuff for like $20 a month, which is nothing. And it's the girl's name the lady's name who runs it, her name is Shay Davis. And there's a wait list. There's a wait list for it. But so I might hit you with that information in inbox, how to be aware of that.
Okay.
But so I'm like, and then like there's webinars I want to do, but the greater thing is I'm dancing around the periphery of being an English teacher.
Wow.
That's really when I'm dancing around the periphery of being an English teacher, which is what I always wanted to do.
Right. Wow. Well, shucky ducky, just go on after it. I mean, just step into it. Whether it's in the classroom setting, or it's out and about, through your business or both. I mean, I just say go ahead. I follow what your husband say. He hear the Lord
He say, but her write these books on fire. I'm like, you know what?
good.
He's so petty. Don't
Oh my
encourage.
gosh. Oh my gosh. But I mean, but he cool though. He cool. Like I said, he got mad props from me though. Like seriously, like a husband that support his wife's, dreams. I mean that's huge. And that will speak life into you and that will challenge you at the same time and not allow you to settle for mediocrity. Like, man.
He saw my big box of stuff I have written and little short stories from all these other classes that I had taken, and
Wow.
read my teacher notes. I mean, to the point that I was actually able to sit into a 4600 level class for what was it, Shakespeare tragedies and romances.
Mm-hmm.
And my professor was Dr. Kurt Schreier. I mean, I had no other English courses.
Wow.
To substantiate why I should be in a 4600 level class. Well, I had taken like the English Lent, the 2300 level, but the 46. But we're at grad level.
Right. English.
Grad level course. I loved that course.
Wow.
And turned out Dr. Schreier had been in the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
So he had done he had this whole other life before he became an English professor. At one time, we had to write a paper, and at the lower level, you can kind of finesse your instructor. Like, look, can I just meet with you so I can kind of see how you want me to write this paper?
Right.
So I emailed him. I'm like, Dr. Schreier, I had a couple questions about the paper. I just want to know if I could meet with you to discuss the paper. He emailed me back. He said, Jennifer, I don't think I need to meet with you about your paper. I think that he said, judging from your commentary in the class and command the material, I think you fine. I'm like, oh, I'm brilliant. I couldn't finesse him. I'm like, dang.
Oh my goodness.
Look, but I mean, I wound up getting a B+ out of his class. I'm still salty about that.
Oh no, he ain't had to do you like that. He know you had to deserve that A. He know you did. He know you did.
My husband saw the last paper that I wrote, and he said, "Babe, really?" I said, "Look, it was due, and I had to just write it. I just had to write it. I just had to get it into him." I got a C on that paper. It was wrote it. If I had that time, girl, I had no time to write it. The girls was small. I was doing stuff. I'm like, I just can't. I was like, I was got too soft myself. I got B+. I was indignant. I was indignant.
Wow. I guess that C must have weighed real heavy, in the class. That's what I'm gonna assume now. That's what I'm gonna assume.
Right. Then he did we would have quizzes before the reading every day. So you had to do your reading or to answer your quiz. And then I got like a 7 out of 10 on the quiz and I was like, this is shenanigans. I'm like, I just can't. I was so salty.
Oh,
but
no.
but in all earnest, I mean, even the stuff I'm doing now is tap dancing on the periphery of I'm an English teacher.
Right. Absolutely. I'm just glad that you're following your passion and you have, the drive to go ahead and follow it through, no matter how rough the journey can be. But it's so rewarding. It's so rewarding to just do what you're passionate about, and just going for it. Because I mean, life is just too short, and I'm like, for me, like with doing a podcast, doing a magazine, and doing social media, for me, I'm excited about that stuff. So for me, it doesn't even feel like work or anything like that, because like I enjoy doing it, enjoy,
Right.
writing and stuff. So I'm like, yes. So it's awesome. Oh my goodness. Man, oh man, but I'm gonna let you go though, because I know your husband wants to spend some time with you while you write these books.
Pass out, but definitely we'll get it together. He is in the process of passing out.
Oh my gosh! Oh my god! All right. Well, I'm gonna let you get to your book, but I appreciate you so much, sister, for helping me out with this. Oh my gosh! So I'll definitely be reaching out to you to, of course, come back on, so we can do an official, interview. So yay! I'm excited. All right.
All right,
All right. You have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.